Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be diving into something I think a lot of you will find interesting.
Sounds intriguing.
Oh, it is. So the book is called The Inflowfit Method.
Okay.
And it basically claims to be totally different from all those fad diets out there.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Right. Everyone's always looking for the magic bullet, but
Yeah.
this book says, forget all that. It's not about quick fixes.
Interesting.
So I thought we'd take a deep dive and see, what makes this method so unique.
I'm in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that really caught my eye was,
What's that?
well, that whole eat less, exercise more mantra.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right. Who hasn't struggled with that? But this book actually, it challenges that whole idea.
Really?
Yeah. It says that, Professors Benton and Young from Swansea University,
Okay.
they argue that simply cutting calories can actually backfire.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They found that when you reduce your calorie intake,
Right.
it can mess with your hormones and make you feel even hungrier and crave those high-calorie foods.
So it's not just a matter of willpower then.
Exactly. It's like our bodies are working against us.
That makes sense.
Right. And if you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, it's kind of hardwired into us to conserve energy.
True.
Like Daniel Lieberman.
Yeah, I know him.
He wrote that book, Exercise, right?
Yep.
And he explains, our biology is programmed for survival, not necessarily for six-pack abs.
Makes you feel a little better about those Netflix binges, huh?
Oh, totally. But anyway, so back to the Inflowfit method, right?
Okay.
So how does it deal with this, biological reality that we're all kind of programmed to, conserve energy?
Well, the Inflowfit method recognizes these challenges,
Yeah.
and it offers a 3-phase approach.
Okay, I'm listening.
So it's system reset, system detox, and then state of flow.
Catchy names.
Right, and each phase kind of focuses on changing habits.
Okay.
Improving nutrition, incorporating physical activity,
Nice.
and prioritizing rest, too.
So it's not just about the food you eat.
No, not at all.
It's like a whole lifestyle shift.
Precisely. And the book is very much against those, fad diets.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that promise those quick results.
Right, but then you gain it all back.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Frustrating. And often they don't really work in the long run.
Totally.
Huh.
I've definitely been there. But why are they so ineffective? Why do they keep failing us?
Well, the book mentions some pretty shocking statistics from the British Heart Foundation.
Oh, wow.
And apparently the diet industry in the UK alone makes a ton of money.
Seriously.
£2 billion a year. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of diet books and shakes and whatever.
Right. But get this, over 65% of women and 44% of men
Oh, no.
are still, struggling to lose weight
Year after year.
year after year. Clearly something's not working, right?
It's a vicious cycle for sure.
Totally. And, Dr. Laura McGowan, who's an expert in nutrition and weight management,
Okay.
she really criticizes these fad diets.
What does she say?
Well, she says they lack long-term effectiveness and that they're often based on, really flimsy science.
Ooh.
And can even be dangerous in some cases.
So how does this Inflowfit method break that cycle? That cycle of trying and failing and trying again.
Well, it starts by really understanding why we gain weight in the first place.
Right.
And why we develop those, unhealthy habits.
Right. Instead of just focusing on losing 10 pounds or whatever.
Exactly. It's about addressing those deeper issues.
I see.
Those issues related to our food cravings and our actual nutritional needs.
So getting to the root of the problem, not just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Precisely. And, one of the key concepts the book introduces is this idea of metabolic age.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that, but isn't that just how old you are?
Not quite. It's more about how old your body functions.
Okay.
You can be chronologically one age, but your metabolic age might be totally different.
Interesting.
Yeah. The book gives these examples of 2 clients.
Oh, tell me.
So there's Maureen. She's 81.
Wow.
But her metabolic age is 66?
No way.
Yeah. And then there's Anne. She's 61 with a metabolic age of 55.
That's amazing. So you're saying your metabolic age could be younger than your actual age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a much better indicator of your overall health.
Makes you wonder what your own metabolic age is, right?
Right. And, the book also talks about how BMI isn't always the best measure of health.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
So the Inflowfit method really emphasizes looking at other metrics, too.
What kind of metrics?
Things like body fat percentage, visceral fat, muscle mass,
Okay.
bone density, and even your hydration levels.
Wow, so it's a whole body scan, basically.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
It gives you a much more complete picture of your health.
So how do you figure out your metabolic age? Do you need, like, special equipment?
Not necessarily. You can actually get a pretty accurate estimate with a digital scale and a simple app.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a lot more accessible than something like a DEXA scan.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this Inflowfit method.
Let's do it.
Tell me about phase 1, the system reset. What's that all about?
So phase 1 is all about laying the groundwork for lasting change.
Okay, so it's like the foundation.
Exactly. It's about changing those deep-seated habits and building a solid lifestyle base.
I like that. Kind of like hitting the reset button.
Totally. And one of the big things you learn in this phase is how to tell the difference between real hunger and those cravings that seem to come out of nowhere.
Oh, believe me, I know those cravings.
They're like, I need chocolate now.
Exactly. But how does this method help you overcome them? Isn't that like a battle against your own biology?
It is a challenge, for sure.
Right.
But the book has some practical strategies.
Okay, like what?
Well, for one, it suggests reorganizing your environment.
What do you mean?
Like literally getting rid of the temptations.
So clean out the pantry.
Exactly. Out of sight, out of mind.
But how does that, fight those super intense cravings? Those bliss point cravings.
It's not a magic solution, but it definitely helps.
Okay.
Think about it this way. You're basically removing the triggers,
right,
the things that set off those cravings in the first place.
I can see how that would make it easier to make healthier choices.
Right. It's all about making those healthier choices the easier choices.
I like that. What else does the book recommend for this reset phase?
Well, they also stress the importance of journaling.
Ah, good old journaling.
It's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
And they recommend using it to track your food, your mood, and your progress.
I can see how that would be helpful.
Right. It helps you become more aware of your patterns.
And identify those triggers.
Exactly. And of course, let's not forget support and accountability.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
This phase really encourages you to, involve your loved ones.
It takes a village, right?
Exactly. Or even join a group for that extra boost of motivation.
Yeah, because changing habits is hard.
It is. But having a support system can make all the difference.
Absolutely. We all need that extra encouragement sometimes, especially when those cravings hit.
For sure. And it's important to remember that setbacks are normal.
Oh, totally.
Don't beat yourself up if you slip up.
It happens.
It's all about getting back on track.
I love that this method acknowledges that change isn't linear, It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Phase 1 is all about building that strong foundation.
1% better each day.
I love that. And remember the 80-20 rule?
Yeah. What's that?
Aim for consistency 5 days a week.
Okay.
And then allow yourself some flexibility for the other 2.
Sounds manageable.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Balance is key.
Absolutely. It's all about finding what works for you and making it sustainable.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so we've reset our system in phase 1.
Yep.
We've built the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Now we move on to phase 2, system detox. What does detox even mean in this context?
So phase 2 really builds on that foundation you've established in phase 1.
Right.
And it focuses on, detoxifying your body and your environment.
So getting rid of all the bad stuff.
Pretty much. Think contaminants in your food and water.
Oh. No.
Even stuff in your personal care products.
Oh.
Yeah, the book gives a lot of recommendations on how to, make healthier choices in those areas.
So it's not just what you eat, it's what you put on your body, too.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
The book also talks about detoxifying your environment from toxic media and content.
What do you mean?
Like being more mindful of the TV shows you watch.
Oh, okay.
The social media you consume, even the news you read.
So creating a more positive mental space.
Exactly. It's about surrounding yourself with things that support your health goals.
I get that, but is the book saying we should avoid the news altogether?
Not necessarily. It's more about, being selective and recognizing that constant exposure to negativity can really drag you down.
I can definitely see that.
Right. And there's actually science behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The book mentions Dr. David Hamilton,
Okay.
who has a PhD in organic chemistry, by the way.
Oh.
And he explains how our brains often can't tell the difference between real and imagined scenarios.
Really?
Yeah. So if you're constantly dwelling on stressful thoughts or watching, anxiety-inducing news,
Right.
your body reacts as if you were actually experiencing those things.
That's kind of wild. So it's Be mindful of what you're consuming, both physically and mentally.
Exactly. It all plays a role.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
Okay, so back to the system detox phase.
Okay.
What else is involved besides, cleaning up our environment?
Well, this phase also introduces fasting protocols.
Oh, like intermittent fasting.
Exactly. Specifically, the book recommends the protocols developed by Dr. Jason Fung.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
He's like a leading expert in intermittent fasting.
Right, but fasting, that sounds kind of intense. Is it safe?
It can be, but the book gives really clear guidelines on how to do it safely and effectively.
Okay, good to know.
It's not about starving yourself.
Yeah.
It's more about, giving your body a chance to rest and reset.
Okay, I see. So we've got the detox part covered. What about the fitness side of things?
So phase 2 emphasizes building strength through resistance training.
Oh, okay.
Remember, it's not just about losing weight.
Right.
It's about building a strong and healthy body.
So ditch the endless cardio and hit the weights.
Well, not necessarily ditch cardio completely,
Okay.
but definitely prioritize strength training.
I can do that.
Building muscle is so beneficial.
Okay.
It boosts your metabolism, improves bone density,
Right.
and, just makes you feel more powerful overall.
I like that. So it's not just about looking good, it's about feeling good too.
Exactly. And to round out phase 2,
Okay.
there's a focus on developing mental strength through meditation.
Ah, meditation.
It's about calming the mind,
Yeah.
reducing stress, and cultivating a sense of inner peace.
I've heard so much about the benefits of meditation, but I've never really tried it.
Well, the book actually provides some guidance on how to get started.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, even if you're a complete beginner.
That's great. So this system detox phase, it's like a total overhaul for your mind, body, and environment.
Exactly. And once you've completed this phase, you're ready for the grand finale.
Ooh, the state of flow.
You got it.
Okay, I've been waiting for this one. What does it actually mean to achieve a state of flow?
Imagine a state of, effortless focus.
Okay.
Where you're incredibly creative and productive, but at the same time, totally at peace.
Wow.
That's flow. The book describes it as this state of balance and optimal energy flow.
I see.
Where you experience enhanced creativity, performance, productivity, happiness, and peace.
This flow state sounds amazing, but also kind of hard to achieve.
It takes practice.
Right. Like, how do I actually cultivate that in my daily life?
Well, it's about becoming really aware of your thoughts and actions and your surroundings, too.
So like being present in the moment.
Exactly. And aligning your lifestyle choices with your values and goals.
So it's like that feeling of being totally in sync with yourself and the world around you.
You got it. The book actually compares it to that feeling of being on vacation.
Oh, I love vacations.
Right. When you're more relaxed, connected to nature, and engaged in activities you enjoy.
Yeah, that's the best feeling. But how do we bring that vacation feeling into our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And that's the goal of phase 3.
Okay.
To help you cultivate that sense of flow in all areas of your life.
I like that, but how do we do it?
A big part of it is mindfulness and awareness.
Ah, mindfulness again.
It's key. It's about paying attention to the present moment,
Right.
noticing your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Right.
And making choices that support your well-being.
Mindfulness seems to be like the buzzword these days. Isn't really that effective.
There's a lot of research that suggests it is.
Interesting.
And in the context of the Inflowfit Method,
Yeah.
it helps you stay attuned to your body's signals.
Okay.
Make conscious choices about your food and activities.
Right.
And cultivate a more positive mindset.
So it's like becoming the CEO of your own health and happiness.
Exactly. But let's be real, achieving the state of flow sounds kind of like a lofty goal.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Is it really possible for us normal people?
The book emphasizes that it's a journey, not a destination.
I like that.
It's about making those small, consistent efforts to, align your lifestyle with your values and goals.
Baby steps.
Exactly. Yeah. And, the Inflowfit Method isn't meant to be a one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay.
It's a framework
Mm-hmm.
that you can adapt to your own needs and preferences.
That makes sense.
And, the book also reminds us that scientific knowledge is always evolving.
True.
So flexibility is key.
Right. You got to be willing to adapt.
Exactly. It's about staying open to new information and adjusting your approach as needed.
So it's not about rigid rules. It's about finding what works for you.
Precisely. And I think one of the most important takeaways from this method is to focus on those 4 fundamental components of health.
Which are?
Hydration, breathing, stress management, and sleep.
Oh, yeah. The basics.
Right. if we can get those right, everything else kind of falls into place.
Absolutely. So once you have those foundations in place, you can start exploring the other aspects of the Inflowfit method.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Can you give us a quick recap of the 3 phases and their unique focuses?
Sure. So phase 1, the system reset, is all about laying the groundwork for lasting change.
Right.
You're resetting your habits, establishing a healthier relationship with food, and creating a supportive environment.
Like hitting the refresh button on your lifestyle.
Exactly. Then in phase 2, the system detox, you're taking it a step further. You're detoxifying your body and environment from harmful substances and influences.
Right. Getting rid of all the bad stuff.
Yep. And you're incorporating fasting, strength training, and meditation.
To enhance your physical and mental well-being.
Exactly. A total mind-body cleanse.
I like it.
And finally, in phase 3, the state of flow, you're aiming to achieve that optimal state of balance where you experience that enhanced creativity, productivity, happiness, and peace.
The ultimate goal is to, integrate that sense of flow into your everyday life.
Precisely. It's about living a life that feels aligned, purposeful, and joyful.
I love that.
It really is a holistic approach to well-being.
It sounds like the Inflowfit method really encourages us to, take control of our health.
It does. And speaking of control, the book talks about how our modern food environment makes it even tougher to stay healthy.
It's true. It's like temptation is everywhere.
Right. And, there are some pretty alarming statistics about that.
Really? Like what?
Well, for example, The Guardian reported that over half of the food purchased by UK households is ultra-processed.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. And Public Health Nutrition actually found that the UK leads all of Europe in the consumption of these highly processed foods.
That's kind of scary.
It is a little concerning, yeah.
No wonder so many people are struggling with their weight.
Exactly. And the book actually goes into detail about, why this is happening.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it explains how these foods are designed to be super palatable.
Okay.
And addictive, too.
Addictive, really?
Yeah. Remember that bliss point we talked about earlier?
Oh, right. That perfect combination of fat, sugar, and salt.
Exactly. Well, a lot of these processed foods are loaded with it.
Makes sense.
It triggers our brain's reward system.
Right.
It keeps us coming back for more, even if we know it's not good for us.
So it's like these food companies are using science against us.
In a way, yeah. The book even mentions some studies where they used brain scans, and they found that sugar can actually light up the same areas of the brain as cocaine.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is a little bit, yeah. But, it also helps to explain why those cravings can be so hard to resist.
True, it's not just a matter of willpower.
Exactly. There's a real physiological component to it.
Well, that makes me feel a little less bad about my own junk food cravings.
We all have them. The important thing is to be aware of these, these marketing tactics and make conscious choices about the foods we choose to eat.
Okay, so how does the Inflowfit method help us do that?
Well, it offers some practical strategies.
Like what?
For example, it talks about replacing those unhealthy options with healthier ones.
Okay, so like swapping out chips for veggies.
Exactly. Or, sugary drinks for water.
Right, makes sense.
And it also suggests reorganizing your kitchen to minimize temptation.
Oh, so like putting the healthy stuff front and center.
Exactly. Out of sight, out of mind. Sure.
Definitely. It's all about making it easier to make those healthy choices.
Precisely. And, the Inflowfit method really emphasizes that true health and well-being go beyond just food and exercise.
So it's a more holistic approach.
Exactly. It's about looking at all aspects of your life, your sleep, stress levels, relationships, even your sense of purpose.
It's about creating a life that's, balanced and fulfilling.
Exactly. And, while the Inflowfit method provides, a framework, it encourages you to adapt it to your own needs and preferences.
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. It's not about rigid rules.
Okay.
It's about finding what works for you.
And making those sustainable changes that will support you in the long run.
Precisely. Because ultimately, knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
The more we understand about how our bodies and minds work, the better choices we can make for our health and happiness.
Well, I have to say, I'm feeling pretty inspired after diving into the Inflowfit method with you today.
Me too. It's given me a lot to think about.
It's definitely a refreshing take on health and fitness.
For sure.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Inflowfit method.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does. We hope you've enjoyed exploring this unique approach to well-being with us.
We hope it's giving you some food for thought.
Pun intended.
Maybe.
So remember that state of flow we talked about?
Yeah.
Think about it. If you could achieve that in your everyday life, what would that look and feel like for you?
That's a great question to ponder.
It is. And until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep.